Have you spent weeks grinding Evo Shards only to buy an Evo that completely ruined your deck? Yeah, this happens to almost everyone. You think you're unlocking a game changer, but what you actually got was a pay-to-lose Evo. 99% of players fall into this exact same trap. They see flashy animations, read new ability, and instantly hit buy. But not all Evos are worth it. In fact, some of them will actively make your deck worse. Today we're going to be breaking down the top 10 worst Evos that you should absolutely avoid right now. This is going to be backed by stats, metadata, and actual performance from Royale API. Let's get started. Coming in at number 10, we got the Skeletons Evo. Evo Skeletons sound like the ultimate one elixir dream. Infinite swarms, endless pressure, and the potential to delete towers if ignored. But the reality, it's the definition of overhype. After the recent spawn count nerf, the Evo Skeletons only start with 3 and can get up to 8 if they stay alive long enough to hit. But keep in mind, the key phrase is if they stay alive. The problem is they rarely ever do. Zap, log, and the snowball wipe them out instantly, and any splash card like the Valk, Baby Dragon, Executioner, or even the Wizard completely erases the chain before it even starts. The second skeleton dies early and the entire multiplication process collapses. Even the players who try to build decks around them found that the value was very inconsistent. Some games they pop off, but most games are identical to the regular skeletons. According to Royale API, the Evo skeletons sit around 4% usage rate with one of the lowest win rates among the one elixir cards. They just cannot compete in a meta full of cheap spells and splash units. If your goal is to cycle faster, the regular skeletons are still the best in the game. They defend, distract, and cost nothing. The Evo adds a risk and not really a reward, so save your shards. This Evo is all bones and no bite. Coming in at number 9, we got the Tesla Evo. This is the card everyone expects to dominate defenses, but right now it's just being overshadowed by almost every other defensive building in the game. According to Royale API, Tesla, both the normal and the Evo version sits around 6% usage rate, mostly appearing in very niche decks like the Expo or Hog decks. In those setups, it's just a background piece, not really a win condition, not a tempo card, but just a reactive defender. Meanwhile, look at the cards dominating the defense scene right now. Number 1, the Cannon Evo. The Cannon Evo melts tanks with the chain shots while applying pressure for 3 elixir, which is insane value. Number 2, we got the Inferno Tower destroying the Mega Knight, P.E.K.K.A, E-Giant, Golem, you name it. Any sort of win condition is going to be destroyed by the Inferno Tower, and it serves a lot of value for people in the lower arenas. Number 3, the Goblin Hut. The Goblin Hut constantly spawns pressure when troops are close to it, forcing your opponent to respond. The truth is, Clash Royale's current meta rewards beatdown and spells that support it. Defensive only Evos feel like dead weight except for the Inferno Tower in the lower arenas, which does amazing versus the beatdown meta right now. Unless you're a hardcore Expo or a Hog player, you'll spend shards here, but most people prefer better Evos like the Evo Cannon, which is broken in offense and defense. Coming in at number 8, we got the Evo Bats. They pretty much heal after every attack, can overheal to double HP, and cost only 2 elixir. It sounds insane, right? Until you actually see what happens in real matches. But all that potential gets deleted by one button. Arrows, Fire Spirit, Snowball, Executioner, E-Drag, anything with splash wipes them out instantly, healing it or not. And in this season's meta, it's absolutely loaded with splash damage. Every top deck runs the Baby Dragon, Ice Wizard, or any splash Evo, all of which annihilate air swarms. According to Royale API, the Evo Bats hover around a 2 to 3% usage rate with one of the lowest win rates of any 2 elixir Evo card. They cannot tank, they can't pressure towers, and die before they deliver any meaningful damage. If you want efficient air control, Minions or Mega Minion are way more consistent in the meta right now. Evo Bats might look cool, but in the current splash heavy meta, they're nothing more than fancy dust. Coming in at number 7, we got the Bomber Evo. The Bomber Evo used to be terrifying, a 2 elixir card that could splash towers from range, but that era ended with just one update, the range nerf. The Bomber's Evo's second bounce travels around 2.5 tiles beyond impact, but it's just not enough to reach the towers from safe zones anymore. Now his value is limited to just ground defense, and that's a role that's already dominated by the Valkyrie, Dark Prince, and the Baby Dragon in the meta right now. Royale API lists the Bomber Evo at around 1% usage rate, which pretty much says it all. Fireball. He's too slow for cycle decks, too fragile for beatdown, and way too predictable for Brit spam. Even worse, he's countered by almost every range unit in the meta. Musketeer, archers, dart goblin, and of course even the spells like the Fireball. You see him paired up with the Goblin Drill or Giant Skeleton decks, but those archetypes have moved on. Now you just see him with one variant of Goblin Drill, which makes him super not versatile. For cheaper, you're better off running Fire Spirit, Skeletons, or the E-Spirit, cards that actually force reactions and can fit into any deck. Before we move on, make sure to like the video and join the Discord group, which is linked in the description of this video, where we talk about everything. Coming in at number 6, we got the Barbs Evo. 5 Evo Barbs charging at the bridge looks menacing, right? Until you remember that every deck in the game runs a Fireball or a Splash card. His buff gives him a 10% HP boost and a 35% attack speed for 3 seconds after engaging. According to Royale API, they're used in 2% of decks and almost exclusively in niche decks like the Lava Loon or Brit Spam. And even in those, they feel clunky. He costs 5 elixir and his defensive setup was too slow up against modern cycle decks or the beatdown meta decks right now. They also don't synergize with many popular archetypes that are dominating right now. They're too slow for bait, too heavy for cycle, and too spell baited for beatdown. Unless your entire strategy revolves around tanking for spells for other cards, skip this one. In a fast and spell heavy meta right now, the Evo Barbs are just free targets. Coming in at number 5, we got the Firecracker Evo. On paper, she looks amazing. Faster reload, bigger splash radius, and a burst that should clear entire pushes. But in reality, she's one of the most inconsistent and frustrating Evos to use right now. The Evo Firecracker targeting AI is still a nightmare. She steps forward into spells, misses units behind tanks, and constantly drifts into the log, arrows, fireball, and the newly added vine spell for that matter. When she works, don't get me wrong, she's broken, but most of the time her inconsistency loses you trades, which is quite annoying. Another big reason is that she only fits pretty much into Hog Cycle right now, which gives her zero versatility. In a meta packed with control and a variety of decks, her role has been completely overshadowed by better cards. Royale API data shows her usage sitting below 3% on ladder, and when she's used, her win rate floats under 50%. That's brutal for an Evo that was once broken. Coming in at number 4, we got the Hunter Evo. The Hunter Evo might be one of the biggest disappointments of 2025. On paper, he's a defensive beast. Every 5 seconds, he throws a net that freezes a target for 3 seconds. But in reality, he's clunky, slowly, and badly overshadowed. Royale API shows around a 1% usage rate, mostly tied to Royal Giant Fisherman decks. The issue is simple. His fire rate is slow, and his range forces him too close to the enemy, where he often dies before the freeze matters. Meanwhile, other defensive support troops like the Musketeer, E-Wiz, or the Archer Queen gives faster, longer range control for more value. With the newly added Vine spells in the game right now, which pretty much roots and slows multiple troops at once, the Hunter's single target freeze feels outdated. If you're not running Fisherman or Royal Giant, this card gives you practically zero value. It's a high cost Evo for a unit that just does not keep up with the modern meta decks right now. Coming in at number 3, we got the Wizard Evo. The Wizard Evo looked like it would finally make the Wizard relevant again, but it's just a mid-ladder trap. His Fire Shield blocks one lethal hit and then explodes for pushback and a small area damage. Sounds flashy until cheap cards like the Logger Zap instantly remove the shield before it even detonates. Royale API lists him around 5% usage rate, mostly in Royal Giant or splash damage decks because they cannot afford better support cards. Meanwhile, in the meta right now, the Evo Executioner, Baby Dragon, and the Musketeer offer the same coverage, faster cycle, or better durability. In short, you're paying shards to make the weakest 5 elixir card slightly less bad. If you're past mid-ladder, evolve something that's actually scalable. Coming in at number 2, we got the Ice Spirit Evo. The Evo Ice Spirit adds a cool mechanic. After it freezes, it triggers a second delayed freeze 3 seconds later in the exact same area. It's a clever concept, but almost useless in competitive play. Royale API shows it sitting below 1% usage rate, only used in a handful of fast cycle decks, making it super niche and not versatile with other decks. It's still 1 elixir, still dies to every cheap spell, and its second freeze does not swing trades. It just slows things that were already handled. Players who tested it found it inconsistent, freezing opponent cards that you already killed or slowing pushes that does not matter. If you want a tempo control card, use the Evo Snowball or the Vine spell instead. Coming in at number 1, and finally the worst Evo in Clash Royale right now, it's the Evo Goblin Drill. Royale API shows around 0 to 1% usage rate, and for a good reason. The Evo makes the drill spawns predictable, and everyone knows how to counter it as well. The meta is filled with its biggest counters: the Bowler, Valkyrie, Executioner, Baby Dragon, and simple spell combos like the Log or Snowball. And because every meta deck already carries at least one of these cards, this Evo pretty much becomes pure value for your opponent. Even worse, the normal Goblin Drill is actually better. It chips, baits spells, and creates unpredictable tower paths. The Evo version locks you into one particular playstyle and makes your attack easy to anticipate. So unless you're trying to lose trophies for fun, don't buy this. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you want to know the top 10 best Evos you actually need to consistently win more games, click on this video. Bye.